Welcome to REM Sleep History. Tonight, we will take a very slow, quiet walk through a Renaissance city, not through its grand battles or famous scandals, but through its ordinary day. We will witness its awakening, its busy middle hours, and its gradual return to silence. From the perspective of the people who called its cobblestone streets home, imagine, if you will, a place in time. It is the 15th century in the heart of northern Italy. The city we are visiting could be Florence, or Siena, or Bologna. It is a compact world of stone and wood, nestled within a protective circle of high walls. As our tours begins, it is not yet dawn. The city is a silhouette, a sleeping form against a sky just beginning to soften from deep black to a velvety indigo blue. The city walls are not just a boundary, they are a living entity. They define everything. Within them is safety, community, law. Beyond them, the wildness of the countryside, the uncertainty of the road. The walls are pierced by heavy, iron-reinforced gates, which are now shut fast, guarded through the night by men whose figures are mere shadows in the torchlight. The city breathes in and out with the opening and closing of these gates, and within these walls lives a delicate, intricate hierarchy. At the very top, a small number of wealthy merchant families. The patricians, their palazzos, are like small fortresses on the main streets. Below them, a vibrant sea of artisans and shopkeepers, the members of powerful guilds for wool, silk, banking, and stone. And below them still, the vast majority, the popolo minuto, or the small people, servants, laborers, porters, and the poor. Their lives are woven together in a tight fabric, dependent on one another in countless invisible ways. The architecture itself tells the story of this social world. Streets are narrow, often shaded, designed for foot traffic and pack animals, not for grandeur. The upper stories of buildings might lean out over the street, making the sky a thin ribbon of light above. This is not an accident. It creates shade in the summer, and it allows families, in times of celebration or crisis, to literally reach out and touch the house across the way. Privacy, as we know it, is a rare commodity. Life is lived in the open, and in the close company of neighbors. The most important space of all is the public square, the piazza. This is the city's heart. It is a stage for politics, for commerce, for gossip, and for punishment. It is where proclamations are read, where markets spill over, where children play, and where, later, lovers might take a quiet stroll. Tonight, we will imagine the slow rhythm of a day in such a square, and in the warren of streets that feed into it. As we begin, the deepest dark of night is just beginning to loosen its hold. The air is cool and still. The only sounds are the soft, rhythmic flow of water from a fountain, perhaps the Fontana Maggiore, and the occasional distant call of a watchman assuring the sleeping citizens that all is well, that the gates are secure, that the night is passing as it should. Let us settle into this quiet and wait for the dawn to gently break. The first change is not a sound, but a quality of light. The deep blue of the sky pales just slightly at the eastern edge where the walls stand. A single bell rings, not loudly, but clearly. It is the Ave Maria bell from the monastery church, a call to prayer for the monks, and a signal for a few early risers to begin stirring in the baker's house. Attached to his shop, the fire in the great brick oven, which never fully went out, is now stoked with fresh, dry wood. The baker, his face warm with the growing flame, begins to mix his great mounds of dough. The scent of yesterday's bread, a faint, yeasty, comforting smell, still hangs in the air, soon to be replaced by the sharper, sweeter smell of today's loaves baking. With a heavy wooden groan that echoes down the empty streets, the great iron bolts of the city gates are drawn back. The two massive wooden doors swing inward. The night watch hands over his duty to the day guard. The first to enter are not people, but sounds and smells from the outside world. The cool, damp scent of the countryside, of dew on grass and turned earth, the distant lowing of cattle being driven to market. The first farmers appear, their carts laden with vegetables, with sacks of grain, with crates of squawking chickens. The city opens its mouth and takes its first sustenance of the day. Now the piazza begins its transformation. Stalls are unfolded, simple wooden trestles and canvas awnings. The farmers claim their traditional spots. A porter, back strong and legs thick from a lifetime of carrying, hefts a sack of wool from a cart and delivers it to the door of the wool guild's warehouse. The arte della lana, his breath forms small clouds in the still chilly morning air. Shopkeepers along the square unbolt their wooden shutters, lifting them up and securing them to the wall with iron hooks. The interior of a wool merchant's shop is revealed. Bolts of fine cloth scarlet azure, deep green stacked on shelves. A spice merchant's doorway releases a complex, exotic aroma. Peppercorns, cinnamon, cloves, scents from Egypt, from the Levant, from lands most here will never see, but will taste in their food. The sun is fully over the walls now. The city is washed in a gentle, golden light. The square is a tapestry of sound, but not yet chaotic. It is a low, busy murmur, the clink of coins, the call of a vendor praising his pears, the steady thump, thump, thump of a loom from a second-floor workshop. A lawyer, dressed in a long, dark robe, walks briskly across the square, a sheaf of papers under his arm, heading to the Palazzo della Signoria, the town hall. He nods to a silk merchant who is feeling the quality of a thread between his thumb and forefinger, his expression one of deep concentration. High above, from the open window of a patrician's palace, a young woman might look down on this scene. She is separated from it by height and status, but connected to it by need. The food for her table, the cloth for her dress, all comes from this bustling human river below. The sun climbs to its zenith. The light becomes flat and bright. The morning's urgency slows into the steady, patient rhythm of the day's work. In the dim interior of a tailor's shop, the master and his apprentice sit on stools, cross-legged. They work in silence, save for the soft shush-shush of needles pulling fine linen thread through rich velvet. Each stitch is tiny, precise. A single sleeve might take a day to sew. There is no hurry, only the slow, certain progress of the craft. In the nearby bottega of a woodcarver, the sound is different. the gentle tap of a mallet on a chisel. A curl of fragrant oak wood peels away. The carver is working on a choir stall for the cathedral. He does not need to look up often. His hands know the shape emerging from the wood. It is a meditation in action. While the men work in shops and squares, the rhythm within the homes continues. In a modest artisan's house, the wife or a servant draws water from the communal well in the courtyard. The bucket rises, dripping and cool. She will use it for cooking, for cleaning. Laundry is beaten in a stone trough. Simple, hearty food simmers in a pot over a small fire, a soup of beans, onions, and perhaps a piece of salt pork. The home is a place of production, too, of meals, of cloth spun from distaff to spindle, of children being minded. As the sun begins its long, sloping descent, the pace changes again. The great business of the day, the signing of contracts, the major purchases is done. Now comes a time for smaller transactions, for gossip, for social calls. Men might gather in a quiet corner of the square or in the shadow of the loggia to discuss the news, a shipment delayed by pirates in the Mediterranean, a marriage alliance being brokered between two families, the latest fresco being painted in the church. Apprentices, their master's chores done, might have a rare hour to themselves. They could kick a leather ball in a side street, or simply sit on the steps of the cathedral, watching the people go by. The light is warmer now, casting long, dramatic shadows that stretch across the piazza's stones. The bell rings for vespers, the evening prayer. The market stalls are taken down. Unsold goods are packed away. The farmers' carts, now lighter, begin their creaking journey back out through the gates, which will soon close. Shop shutters are lowered and bolted once more. The tailor puts away his needle. The woodcarver lays down his chisel and blows the fine dust from his carving. From 100 kitchens, the smell of evening meals begins to waft into the streets. Onions, garlic, rosemary, the ubiquitous scent of olive oil warming in a pan. The public space of the city is gradually ceded back to the private space of the home. The loud murmur of the day softens into the isolated sounds of closing doors, of greetings called from upper windows, of a family gathering around a table. The blue of dusk deepens into the velvet black of night. The last trace of sunlight disappears behind the tiled rooftops. Stars emerge, pinpricks of light in a sky now freed from the smoke of daily fires. The city has completed its cycle. It has taken in, it has produced, it has traded, it has communed. Now it must rest. The gates are shut and locked with a final, resonant thud. The night watch takes its place, a solitary figure, pacing slowly, his lantern casting a small, swaying pool of light on the ancient stones. From our quiet vantage point, we can reflect on this daily rhythm. Life in this Renaissance city was not easy. It was filled with physical labor, with uncertainty, with the ever-present threat of disease or conflict. But it was also rooted in community, in visible purpose, in the tangible results of one's work. The baker saw his bread eaten. The carpenter saw his door hung. The merchant saw his cloth worn. There was a slowness, a predictability to the frame of the day, bounded by light and dark, by the ringing of bells, by the opening and closing of gates. Within that frame, the human drama, ambition, love, rivalry, kindness played out just as it does in our time. But the stage was smaller, closer, more intimate. Now the city sleeps. The fountain continues its gentle, endless flow. A lone candle flickers in a high window, then is extinguished. The night watchman's footsteps fade into the distance, becoming just a memory of a sound. The communal breath of the city is slow and deep and at rest. There is no more to be done today. The walls stand guard. The stars turn in their ancient course. All is quiet. Let this quiet be your quiet. Let the steady, slow rhythm of this past day ease the rhythms of your own mind. There is nothing to plan for, nothing to solve, only the deep, peaceful history of rest. The fountain flows. The night is calm.